Hi there again, it's Josh McVicar, and going to give you another great magic trick that you can do at home, with family, workplace, anywhere. It is impromptu and it is mind reading. So you don't need any props or anything in order to do this. You can do this over the phone. In fact, I'm going to now demonstrate on you by reading the minds of those of you watching this video right now. What I want you to do, if you could, think of a number between 1 and 10. I'll give you a moment to think of that number. Now, when you're doing this in person, obviously you want to keep these numbers to yourself. In this case, it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to now multiply your number by 2. I'll give you a second. Now that you've multiplied it by 2, I want you to take the figure that you've come to. I want you to add 8 to that number. Give you another second. Now I want you to go ahead and divide that number by 2. I'll give you just a minute to figure this one out. If you need to, you can pause it or get a calculator out. Then I want you to subtract your original number from that figure. This is going to leave you with one number. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to assign a letter to your number. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to think of the alphabet in sequential order. So A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on. I'll give you a moment to work your way through the alphabet so you can figure out what letter is associated to your number. Hopefully you're getting that. If not, you can pause the video if you need to. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take that letter that you're at now, and I want you to think of a country that begins with that letter. I'm going to give you just a minute. If you need, you can pause if you'd like, but typically I want you to just try to think of the country, the first country that pops in your mind that begins with that letter. Perfect. Now I want you to go back to the alphabet, and I want you to go to the next letter in the alphabet. Hopefully you're there. Now I want you to think of an animal that begins with that letter. I'm going to give you just a minute. First animal that pops in your mind that begins with that letter. Hopefully you have that. Now I want you to think of the color of that animal. I want to make sure you got it locked within your mind. Think about it for a moment because I'm going to attempt to read your mind through the computer screen right now. I believe you're thinking of a gray elephant in Denmark. Hopefully I got that right. I know for most of you I did. This is a lot of fun to do, ladies and gentlemen. This will fry a lot of people and allow you to seem like a real master of magic, if you will. Now, I'm going to kind of go through how this works so that you can do this on your own. First and foremost, in order to make this happen, is a little bit of mathematical magic that we turn into a mentalism effect. Simple way to do it. First and foremost, you're going to ask your audience member, spectator, to think of a number between 1 and 9. Now, you can do this to an individual. You can do this to a whole group. That's completely up to you. Now, we will use an example here. Let's say we're thinking of the number 5. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that number by 2. So 5 times 2 is going to give us 10. Then we want to add 8 to the number. All right. That's going to give me 18. Then we're going to divide the number by 2, which is going to give me 9. And then we want to subtract the original number, which I was thinking of the number 5. We're going to subtract that from the number 9. That's going to give us the number 4. Now, here's the trick, the way it works. No matter what number they think between 1 and 10, if they follow this formula right here, they will always end up at the number 4. Yep, that's the way this works. So knowing that everyone's going to end up in the number 4, if we associate that to the alphabet, A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, that is going to give you D. Number 4 is going to be the letter D. Now, what we're going to do is we now want someone to think of a country that begins with that letter. Now, as of the moment, I believe the only 2 countries that are easily thought of that begin with the letter D are going to be Denmark and the Dominican Republic. Obviously, the first thing your brain typically goes to 9 out of 10 times is going to be Denmark. Nice and simple. Then we ask them to go back to the alphabet, all right, and think of the next letter, A, B, C, D, E. E, we're going to ask them to think of an animal that begins with that letter, all right? Now, there are other animals that begin with the letter E, but the most common animal that's going to pop into your brain, first and foremost with letter E, is going to be an elephant. Now, sometimes they may think of something else. It's okay as long as you get 1 or 2 of the predictions correct. That's fine. But 9 out of 10 times, they're going to be thinking of an elephant in Denmark. The final part is we ask them to just think about the color of the animal. Most of the time, it's going to end up as gray, as most elephants are gray. and we merely say, I believe you're thinking of a gray elephant in Denmark. Like I said, 9 out of 10 times you're going to nail this, and it will leave people astounded. I highly recommend it.